So it's been a busy few days here at the shop. And before I get into what I want to really talk about here, I'll give you the update on everything and everyone and what's going on. So let's start outside here. You guys remember the turbo slant project? All right, well, we're back on this again. It has a new owner, Buff Del Campo. So Buff has teamed up with Kim Fixes Things. And those two are working on this. They've been straightening out things on the car itself and cleaning and organizing and working on the engine, starting to take the engine apart. So they're going to be covering the nitty-gritty of that build on their channels, but we'll give you updates as it goes along. The finished product ought to be pretty cool. Okay, I went to the machine shop yesterday and picked this up. This is for next year. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's for next year. Okay. What else is going on? Josh is he doing his thing over here? The transmission is all buttoned. Well, we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. Okay. So Slag Hammer is on the mend. We're just putting her back together again now. And all good. All good. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. This is the Mission Impossible 318. So this is going to North Carolina, I believe, this Friday morning. I'm going to head up to Andy and David's place. And I think we're going to do a live from there too. So that'll be Friday night. Don't know the time yet. But that's what's going on with that. Then you'll notice that we have yet another 318. This one over here is just a couple of friends that I'm helping put this together. There's nothing revolutionary. It's just going into a pickup truck to drive down the road. So we're just whacking this together real quick. And then there's Josh. Hi, Josh.
Good morning.
You're so pleasant.
I had my cup of coffee. I'm good.
All right. All right. So the tranny is all buttoned up, all back together again. This is going in the car now.
Yep.
Well, as soon as we're done shooting this.
As soon as we're done shooting,
right,
yeah.
Right. So, yeah, you got the snap rings for this. So
yep.
that was all clearanced right. I buttoned it up last night, and this is going to go into the car. Wow, look how clean the bench is.
You know, I figured, we could have a clean workspace when we get ready to drop it and slide it under the car.
Dude, you're awesome. Yeah. Oh, and let's talk about this fiasco for a minute.
Do we have to?
Yes, we have to. Okay, so here's the situation. Josh wanted to put a fresh steering box in the car. The old one leaks from both ends. So, and it's a 55-year-old. How old is this thing?
It's a 68, old. So it's
yeah,
old.
Yeah, 55-year-old steering box. So, decided to throw a fresh steering box in there. Not a bad idea. So he picks up this thing. Now, where did you get this from?
I got that from Rock Auto.
Okay, so why did you buy that one from Rock Auto?
Well, for a couple different reasons. The first one was A, need a new steering box. B, it's supposed to be a fast return ratio than the factory box, but it's also supposed to be a direct bolt-in replacement for the box.
The key word there is supposed to be. So if you buy one of these boxes, so he's under the car. This thing comes in the mail. He gets it. He climbs under the car, and he's under there for hours after I left. Right?
Yeah, I was there. I was underneath the car for probably another hour and a half. I mean, if you have ever held one of these things, they're 40 pounds plus.
Yes, right.
And so I'm, single fisting it, trying to get the bolt started, and I could only get one started, had it in, and then I couldn't. My arms gave out, and I couldn't hold it anymore. So I just gave up. I said, Tony, will you look at it? Because clearly, I'm too dumb to figure this out, to figure these three bolts out. And so then I had Tony take a look at it.
So then naturally I'm like, haha, I'll show the youngin how to put a steering box in a car, right? No, I was under there for, I don't know, a good half hour, 45 minutes fumbling with this thing. Well, as it turns out, this box, this is one that, like I said, they sold to Rock Auto, and the bolt pattern on this, it's the same kind of basic bolt pattern. And you can see that they oblong. Now, we didn't do this. This is how it comes. This hole is oblonged over here. And these holes are off by just enough that you can't get both in. So this thing's going back as a return.
Yep.
And that's the other thing too. I tried to identify. Now listen, I'm doing this stuff for a long time, and I have never ever seen a Chrysler steering box that looks like this. I have no idea what the origination of this box is, because this is like the standard 1962 to like 1982 Chrysler car box. So there are slight differences in sector size and ratio, but the actual box itself, the dimensions of the box, are universal from 1962 to 1982. So that's all A, B, C, E bodies, FMJ bodies. They all have this box. So I guess aside from minor differences in size difference on the sector part, they're interchangeable. This thing, I have never seen a box like this. If any of you guys have any idea where this thing originated from, or what its original intended application was, I'd really like to know, because I've never seen one, and it doesn't fit. So save yourself a bunch of agita from Rock Auto. Don't bother with it. What did you end up doing? What's your solution to this?
Well, so kind of a sidebar. So if you're working on any of the Mopar Alphabet body styles, this same box is what they offer for every one of them. It doesn't matter if it's a Charger, a satellite, whatever. It's going to be, you have the same option. So whatever that means as far as the manufacturing is concerned. And then as far as my what I did to find the replacement is I called a company called Steer and Gear, and they're up in Ohio.
I've heard of them.
And I called them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we have a replacement, like a factory like OE replacement that we can on the shelf. We can ship it to you. We'll ship it out to you. I mean, just as soon as you get payment to us." I'm like, "Well, how do I do that?" They're like, "We'll transfer you to billing or whatever." And then I just gave them my credit card over the phone, and then they sent it. It was $400 shipped. Plus, and then once I get the box, they send it with a prepaid shipping label. I put that back in. I get $200 back for the core.
So you're getting a fully rebuilt box, everything fresh inside for $200.
Yep.
See, that's spectacular. And how much did this travesty cost?
That cost me like $500 from Rock Auto.
Yeah. All right. But they're taking it back.
They're going to take it back, and I'm getting most of my money back. I ended up having to split the shipping with them for whatever reason, but yeah, they're going to give me most of my money back. So
right.
I'm still net saving money, because like I'm only going to spend $200 for this, for a good box, known good box. So
all right. So he and I are going to wrestle. As soon as we're done shooting this, we're going to wrestle our tranny up in a place and then finish the job up. And the car should be out of here. When are you getting that box?
I don't have shipping details yet, but as soon as I have it, we'll get it in, we'll get the car buttoned up, and should be back on the road.
We'll go out and roll around with it for a while.
Yep.
All right. So that's the update on all of the various, I think that's all of the things. I know there's other stuff, but I'm forgetting what it is. It doesn't matter. What I want to talk about is the video we put out yesterday, the one we shot over at Kiwis with that red pickup truck, that red Ford pickup truck. And we've done these videos in the past where we talk about, or we've shown some incredibly bad work. The cars that are, and it seems they're always red. Now, even our first big video back in May 2019 was a Duster that the guy was trying to pass over. It would have been a rebodied car, and it was red. They're all red. We did, went over at Chuck Yoder's place, a Mustang that was like that. We've done several of them. And the one we did at Kiwis yesterday was unique. And it was unique because we were able to trace back to the actual party that did the work. The party that was contracted to do the work and did the work. So instead of, and you'll notice in those other videos, we didn't talk about who is to blame, because we don't know. If we don't know, we're not going to say. So if the customer says, well, I got it from this guy who got it from that guy, blah, blah, blah. Well, there's no direct lineage back to the party who did the work and took the money. In this case, with that Ford pickup truck, we knew exactly who it was. There was no middleman. There was nothing in between. So we were able to say who it was. And I mean, just read through the comments on that video and you'll see that, like, there's a lot of outrage, a lot of rightful outrage, because this is epidemic. I mean, there's always been shoddy work, and the stuff that we do for ourselves, we're hammering together a car. We just want to get it on the road. So we'll take shortcuts and whatnot. But those are things that we do for ourselves. When you're doing work for a customer, to paint over Bondo, like fiberglass patched frame sections and tape over things and paint over that, that's just vile. And the big thing that it only occurred to me after we shot that video was the way that gas tank was mounted and not sealed in that wooden bed that had no support. The gas tank was mounted at the far rear part of the chassis, and it was hung by 4 bolts by that sheet metal flange, not sitting on top of the flange, like let's say they would do in like a lot of the early Fords had that, like the Mustangs had the tank was the trunk floor, and it dropped down into the trunk floor, so the flange was supported all the way around. On that tank, the flange was hung by 4 bolts, hung by the bolts at 4 corners, and it was open at the top, and the bed itself wasn't an original, wood bed floor or anything like that. It was all, fabricated, and it was done over rotted cross members. And it wasn't sealed in any way, shape, or form. Any type of rear end collision, if somebody had hit that truck, let's say at 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, it would have dropped that gas tank out on the ground. There was nothing to seal it, nothing to keep it from opening up and just dumping the gas all over the place. That could have been really, really ugly. So like on top of all of the other stuff, which you could just chalk up to shoddy workmanship and thievery, a situation like that is off the chain as far as I'm concerned. And like I said, when we were filming it yesterday, we were at Kiwi Shop filming it, it didn't really occur to me. I only thought about it afterwards, like, man, there's a whole other level of repercussions to this kind of thing. So here's what I want to do, because I think this is an important service. We've come across dozens of cars that fit, and trucks that fit that description. Perfumed pigs, things that were hacked together. They have beautiful paint, they have beautiful trim, they have perfect interiors. But when you climb underneath, you see all of the shortcuts. You see that this thing it's a perfumed pig. It's a pooch. This thing really needed to be gone through structurally. We come across this all the time. It wasn't too long ago, I was at a Mopar show, and there was I was talking to a guy who just picked up a 69 Roadrunner. And it was beautiful. It was red. They're all red. Resale red, right? Okay. It was red, and I'm looking over the car. I'm like, man, this is a nice car. Beautiful restoration. And he opens the hood, and everything's perfectly detailed under the hood. It had the right air cleaner with all the right stickers and everything else. And as I'm gazing along, like I'm looking around under the hood, my eye caught something on the cowl section of the car. And when I looked closer, it was all Bondo. The whole cowl had been sculpted out of Bondo and then painted real quick. Now, I didn't climb under the car, but imagine what kind of horrors are hiding underneath this thing. If you can have something as blatant, as obvious as the cowl, pure Bondo, just sculpted out of Bondo. It's an epidemic. And it's done by flippers. Flipper's a bad term, because a lot of people flip cars, flip trucks or whatever, and they're cool. They're honest people. They're picking something up, they're giving it a tune-up or fixing small things and then flipping it. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just business. That's fine. But these body shops that turn out these show-worthy vehicles, but neglect all of the important mechanical bits, all of the structural bits, that's a whole different story. That's just deception. And they go by the assumption that the person who's buying this thing has a huge amount of disposable income. So they're preying mostly off of people that are in their 50s or 60s or 70s. They have disposable income. The kids are gone. They're done paying for college. They got their pension. And now they're comfortable in life, and they want to have their toy. So they're the ones who are going to these classic car dealers, these classic car showrooms, and saying, I want that one. That's the same car I wanted, or the same car I had when I was 15, I was 16, and I want it again. And they'll pay for it, right? The people who do these cars know this. They're taking advantage of it. They also know that that person who's buying this car is probably not going to use it as daily transportation. It's probably not going to see traffic. It's probably not going to see rain. It's going to see cars and coffee. And so they do these cars with that in mind. And they cut these corners thinking that, well, you know, it's going to get used once or twice. It's going to sit in this guy's garage and it's going to end up in his estate sale. That's the mentality. That's what they do. It's a crime no matter what, because no matter how you look at it, that car eventually is going to end up in the hands of somebody who may want to use it. Or it may end up in a situation where it's in an accident and all of those structural bits, they're there to earn their keep. You know, these cars were built not flimsily, they're solid cars, but they don't have quite the crash protection that modern cars do. So, you know, they don't have the crumple zones and they don't have the, you know what I'm saying? So every little bit of that structure that's in there is crucial on these older cars. So this is what I'd like to do. Now, I'm not just going after views, because these videos do get views, but I'm not just going after the views. What I'd like to do is anybody that you know of, if you yourself or somebody that you know of, that's in the general Nashville area, because we're not going to start traveling and chasing after these things. If you're in the general Nashville area, or you can get your car to the general Nashville area, and you can get it to my shop or you can get it to Kiwi's shop. And here's what's very important. You have a direct line to the person or the party responsible for the work or the sale of the car. So, for instance, if you bought a car from a classic car dealership, and then you brought it to a mechanic and they told you, oh, this is bad, this is junk, this is rotted, this is no good, this has to be redone, whatever it happens to be, and you know the dealer, you have the receipts, you bought the car from that dealer and this is what they told you it was, we want to see it, and we'll feature it, and we want you to tell your story. I don't want to tell the story, we'll have you tell your story, and then we'll let the public be the judge. If you're like this woman who contracted somebody to do the work for you and it turns out like this, we want to see it, we want you to tell your story, because this has got to stop. It's really bad. The general viewership of this channel are people who work on their own cars, who do their own stuff. And yeah, some of us do really exceptional, beautiful, perfect work, and some of us cut corners just to get it on the road. You know, don't get it right, just get it running. It's all part of it. But we're not the people who these guys are targeting. We're not the unsuspecting, you know, we're savvy. They're going after people who aren't, right? And somebody's got to do something to stop it. And I think collectively, I think we can do that. We're the only people who can. So, like I said, if you're in the general Nashville area, can get your car to one of our shops on our will and have direct receipts, direct lineage to who performed the work, then we want to hear your story. We want to see the car. We want to see go take a tour through it. We want to hear your story. We want to help try to put a stop to this stuff, because it's just bad for everybody. So once again, if you can get the car to my shop or Kiwi's shop, you have direct lineage, you know, who performed the work, who did you buy this thing from, and you're willing to tell your story, let's do this thing. Contact us at uncletonysgarage@gmail.com. uncletonysgarage@gmail.com. Put in the subject line, I got robbed, right? Do that, we'll go through them and we'll get back to you. Let's work together and put a stop to this stuff. Seriously, enough is enough. And that's it for now. I'm gonna climb under the car with Josh and get that tranny up in place. Looking forward to this, man?
Actually, yes, I am very much looking forward to actually getting that back in there and getting everything buttoned up so that we're that much closer to getting it back on the road.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to seeing this thing moving too. All right, it was only supposed to be here for a day or two.
Yeah.
That's the way it works out. Best laid plans of mice and men, right?
Yep.
All right, guys, so that's it for now, and I'll see you tomorrow.